This is WBRC Fox 6 Law Call.
And welcome to Law Call. We've got the answers to your legal questions tonight. Coming up on the program this evening, we're answering questions about institutional abuse. What's the difference between an institutional care facility and a nursing home? If you believe a loved one has been abused, what can you do? We want to hear from you. The number right there on your screen, 855-LAW-1955. I'm John Huddleston, joined tonight by Ken Riley and for Melanie Posey Joseph this evening. And Ken, let's tell folks kind of, because this is a broad topic, what we're specifically talking about here this evening.
Yeah, so, institutional facility, what is that? Well, that's a place where, unfortunately, sometimes people, because of a disability or because of their age sometimes, or their, an illness or something, they will be placed into this institution. And sometimes it's governmental institution, a lot of times it's private institutions. And what we are seeing, and I'm going to introduce my dear friend and law partner Don McKenna here in just a second, but what we are seeing is that in some of these institutions they're understaffed, and sometimes the staff that is there is not qualified, and in fact they may have criminal records. And the problem with that is that it's creating problems. And it's creating problems right here in our local area. So we want to make sure that our viewers are aware and let them know, what can be done, what to look for if they happen to find themselves in a situation where one of their loved ones is at an institutional facility and they don't know what to do. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Don a second ago. Tell us a little bit more about him. I know he works, you didn't have to go very far to find him.
No, that's right. And Don is here tonight. Don, generally, his career has been built around whistleblower actions. And so, Don, welcome. But talk to our viewers just a little bit about you, your practice, and then we'll get into institutional facility abuse, but talk just a little bit about what you do and what you've been doing all these years.
Yeah, I've been practicing now for 27 years, and over 22 of that has been doing whistleblower law, but along with that I've handled wrongful death cases, big injury cases, products liability cases, mass torts, big class actions, things of that nature. But I really have a special fondness for the whistleblower cases, where you're representing whistleblowers who are reporting information to the government that our tax dollars have been stolen. But I also have a special fondness for people with disabilities, and people with disabilities who are being abused deserve great legal representation. So in cases like this, I'm glad that our firm is representing these people.
So talk to our viewers just a little bit about what got you involved to begin with, because you and I have talked about these type cases, and we're actually handling a few together. But talk up to our viewers just a little bit about how you got involved with these cases.
I got involved in these cases, as I often do, by a referral from somebody in the legal community who called me and said, hey, a family member has been subject to what I believe is abuse that led to death in an institution. And the person had special needs, and I have a brother-in-law with special needs, so that's something near and dear to my heart. To hear about somebody being abused in that situation. And all the facts didn't add up. You had a young man, 21 years old, had a broken arm on a Friday, went to the doctor, soft cast put on, supposed to have surgery on Monday, and he's dead Sunday morning. Thankfully, they got to us early, and we got an autopsy done and found out he had been overdosed on one of his prescribed medications the facility is in charge of. That is supposed to control behavior, and they gave him, we believe, too much, which led to a lethal overdose according to the autopsy.
And we talk about, if you can kind of give folks an idea about what these facilities are, what types of patients these facilities would house.
Sure, these types of facilities are for people with special needs, maybe autism, maybe other cognitive or physical disabilities that just might be too much for a family to handle. They're usually in group home settings. They can be for youth. They can be for that transition age from teenager into early 20s, and then they could be adult group homes. And if they're youth, they're regulated by DHR. If they're adult groups homes, they're regulated by the Alabama Department of Public Health. And all those patients have rights under the law.
We talk a lot about nursing home abuse and neglect, and this falls into kind of the same kind of family of cases, but it's really a different case, right?
Right. When we think of nursing home abuse, we typically think of our elderly, who are also very vulnerable, but we think of them as being older, unable to physically care for themselves because of age, and dementia and mental things happen. These are the cases we're looking at right now. While we look at nursing home cases, there are also younger people who have physical and mental disabilities who may be in institutional group home care for decades and decades because they're expected to live a normal life. They're not old, and they need this type of care for a very long time.